Welcome to LTG Ectoplasm, your home for Spirit Tribal and Magic the Gathering. I'm your host, Dwight, aka D Blanco, a medium that wears an extra large. You can reach out to me on Twitter at MTG Ectoplasm, or you can email me directly at mtgectoplasm@gmail.com. Now, before we get this episode started, like I ask in each and every single episode, do me a favor. Hit that follow and subscribe button. I don't know where it is where you're streaming, and it could be over here, over there, or up here, or maybe on the side or that side. I have no clue, but do me a favor, hit that button for me. I'm not charging you $1, and with the way the inflation is, you should be happy I'm not charging you anything, right? Because the price of gas, oh, vey. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please hit that love, follow, subscribe button. I would appreciate it. Also, do me a favor. If you got friends that like magic, throw them my way, saying, hey, this guy's he's pretty cute, he's handsome, and he knows a little bit of magic. I would appreciate it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now that I've introduced myself and a little bit about the show, let me bring in the one, the only, the engineer, the person who's driving the show. It's the one, the only, the ravishing Renata. How you doing, ravishing?
I'm doing pretty good.
There you go. How you feeling? Spry? You feel spunky, funky?
Yes.
There you go. I enjoy that. That's why I'm happily married, because she tells me I'm happily married.
Of course.
There you go. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to sit there and get to the sponsorship, shall we? And we are sponsored by our friends at Greg's Games. That's right, Greg's Games at 2103 White Horse, Mercerville Road in Hamilton, New Jersey, 08619. Let me just tell you, this is a great place to play Magic the Gathering. They have they have Pokemon, they have Magic the Gathering, they have Dungeons and Dragons, they miniatures, they have everything. If you're looking for just some weird cardboard game, they have it. They have everything and anything you want, like from deck boxes to sleeves. I'm just rambling on here because I'm telling you that's how great the place is. And they expanded their shop. Greg expanded, so that means more of what you like and want to play. So go check them out. Greg's Games, 2103 White Horse, Mercerville Road in Hamilton, New Jersey, 8619. If you're in the Trenton area, perfect. If you're in New York City, you're only 45 minutes away. If you're from Philly, it's only a half an hour drive. You can't beat it. Greg's Games, 2103 White Horse, Mercerville Road, Hamilton, New Jersey, 8619. Now, if you were watching live on stream, thank you for watching and being here. And if you're listening through Spotify, Google Podcasts, or even Apple Podcasts, thank you very much. And I want to thank my Brazilian audience for listening, because those are my number one listening audience around the world. So we're having thousands and thousands of you listening to the show. So I'm humbled, and I 100% appreciate your patronage. Now that the homework is done, the kit and caboodle, shall I say, is done, it's now time for me to bring in a special guest. Now, this young man has been with me. I think this is going on 1 year total. He's been with me. He actually was in a legacy tournament and ended up going. He actually won the, I think, legacy tournament. Did exceptionally well with spirits, white blue spirits. I was dumbfounded. I was amazed, and I couldn't believe it. I had to have the young man on, but he's an elf player. I'm not gonna besmirch the young man about that, but he is now playing spirits again. But he's doing it in Pioneer. Let's bring in the one, the only Testacular. How you doing, my friend Testacular? Oh, he's on mute, sweetheart. You gotta unmute him.
Hey, how's it going?
And then if you're watching, you see a young man on the lower lower bottom. He has got a great mustache. If I could go facial hair like this, I would do it like that. It's like Whipley's was a Whipley Smirnoff. I forget the guy's name. He has that.
Yeah.
There he is, the one, the only Brad. Welcome to the show.
Konnichiwa.
Look at this.
How are you doing?
And I'm staged here by facial hair. I got the little goatee, but the Testacular's got this wonderful effervescent goatee. And look, Brad, that manly, masculine mustache.
Heck yeah, man. A lot of machismo here.
There you go. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. How are you guys feeling?
Feeling fairly well today. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Now, for those who don't know, these gentlemen, I believe, are in the upper north, the
PNW.
BMW. What the hell is
Pacific
that?
Northwest.
Pacific Northwest. That's what I was looking for. I just lost my words because I'm just looking at the facial hair. I'm just amazed. So how's it over there in that neck of the woods?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. We just the local play is seeing an uptick lately because cases are down with the pandemic and everything, and so we're finally seeing some bigger events around here again. We're seeing higher numbers of players at regular weekly events at different stores in the area. So it's been cool getting back to some paper magic.
Man cannot live on MT, or man or woman cannot live on MTG alone. Even though we have Arena and we all think it sucks, but that's not here or there.
Yeah.
So,
I
Brad,
remember-
tell me, we know a little bit about Testacular. He has his own show on Twitch. I believe it's at MTG Testacular. Or is that Testacular MTG?
It's Testacular MTGO. So twitch.tv/Testacular MTGO, and I've linked my Twitter as well down there. So
Very nice. Now, Brad, he's shy. He's the paper guy. He doesn't have his social media, but that's quite all right. So, Brad, let the listening audience and viewing audience know a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm an old man, obviously, because I don't have any social media. I'm very curmudgeon-y. On and off Magic player, billiards player, play a lot of pool for sure. My team in 2018 for the APA League, we got in the World Finals and we got second place. We didn't end up clinching it, but close, one ball, very close.
Very nice.
So yeah, I'm more of a hobbyist than anything else.
Well, let me ask you, what made you get into Magic the Gathering?
Oh wow! The very first time I laid eyes on Magic was actually the Betrayers of Kamigawa set. There was a box art for Ninja. I was like, that looks cool, and I just picked it up. Friends and I played your classic kitchen table Magic stuff. Fell out of that when I got in the Navy. I was a submariner. I was forward deployed in Guam.
Okay. Name more.
No,
Go ahead. Name more. Go ahead.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I was forward deployed in Guam. Been to a slew of countries from there.
Okay.
Then once I got out, I got back into kitchen table Magic with my friends. Then when I moved to Portland, that's how I met Testacular here, actually. I walked into the hobby shop. I'm like, I know this game. And I proceeded to go through all these things. And I told our mutual friend Dave behind the counter, I was like, hey, I'm going to buy a bunch of cards. I'm looking through the 50-cent bins. He's like, okay, man, whatever. And I built a mono red deck. And I ended up buying like $500 worth of cards the first time I walked into that shop. So my very first experience with a Magic shop was, I think it was 2013, maybe. But
Okay.
that's really how I just jumped in from kitchen table, never playing in a series format, to immediately let's play constructed, modern specifically.
Well, that's great. It's great to, sometimes, we fall in and out of love with Magic the Gathering, and I'm happy you're back and loving the gathering of people wanting to play and really, really good at the game. Now, gentlemen, for those who aren't aware, you, Testacular, were at a 1K event and you were playing mono blue snow spirits. Now, you technically are an elf guy. You don't really technically play spirit. You play spirits here and there. Let's be honest. But what made you want to play mono blue snow in a Pioneer event?
Well, so the thing that got me motivated was the announcement of the Pioneer 1K in general. It was like the first big event in the city that I was feeling comfortable enough to actually go to. And I was like, all right, well, I'll build I want to play Spirits because I enjoy the way that Spirits plays in other formats. And so I was looking at it, and really the price point is the first thing that bought me in on mono blue, was because the deck costs like $100 after you sleeve it up. Like that's a great entry. Like that's not bad. And I also was reminded of the way it played, like mono blue devotion decks in old standard times, like Curious Obsession on a flyer, just try to get it in there, draw extra cards. being able to hold up counter magic. The deck plays 8 mana leaks. It's like very easy to go up against most matchups and just identify the problem spells and interact with those. And you just like bank on damage over time until like there's this point where you're just have like a massive army because you've been controlling the board with things like Shacklegeist and whatnot, that
Mhm.
like all of a sudden you're just like, wait, swing for lethal, you're dead. And the deck just like I just solitaired the heck out of it after buying into it like within a day. And I just loved like the way I was drawing and the way it was playing. I wasn't interacting with anything, sure, but I was like, this is this makes sense to me.
Okay.
And I was really excited to play it. So yeah.
Well, most people don't know in this country because I keep track of spirits and spirit players. This Mono Blue Snow is exceptionally very popular in Japan. You know, there's Hiro Tsuki. He's constantly getting 5-0s with Mono Blue Snow build. And it's kind of funny. Your build is, basically comparable to his. I changed mine out. You have 2 Brazen Borrowers in your deck, while I removed it and put Cemetery Illuminator just because I felt that Cemetery Illuminator was more what I want because I want to draw more cards and take out from my opponent's graveyards. Just I don't know. I just don't trust the graveyard decks currently in Pioneer. Now, let me ask you, Brad. You ended up playing Testacular. He would have done better. He would have I think may have succeeded further in that tournament, but you ended up kicking his ass. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was pretty
You beat
unfortunate.
him with Azorius control.
I'm
How's it
100% the villain.
what is it like facing spirits, especially on Mono Blue Snow build?
Spirits is fairly scary. If they're able to like deploy the correct amount of threats, they're ahead on board. They have enough flash creatures to stay interactive on my turn. They should always play on my turn. The mono blue version I feel slightly weaker just because they have more invest in this creature spells, right? You've got the enchantment spell that draws you cards, Curious Obsession.
Yep.
You also have what's it called? That snow 1-drop.
Ascendant Spirit.
Ascendant
Mhm.
Spirit, thank you. And that invests early on. If you invest in your creatures, it's going to punish you unless my shields are down to get in that Curious Obsession draw, right? Because if I can just portable hole something or march the Otherworldly Light Azorius Charm, that's a huge tempo play on my part. And you are net negativing your mana advantage from then on, right? Like you pump the Ascendant Spirit, that's 3 mana. I Azorius Charm it back to the top. That's a tempo play plus 3 mana loss, and I've used my 2 mana for turn successfully because I want to tap out every turn, basically, on your turn, and you're playing into my strategy at that point.
Okay.
So overall, like it's if you can get 3 power down as a mono blue player, spirits player, obviously, you just kind of want to keep doing that. And then when I react to you, because I have to react to you, you're able to deploy another threat if it's a single removal spell or counter spell, or if it's a board wipe, just try to build enough flash creatures to redeploy. Like a rattle chains goes a long way in your hand. So I don't like playing against spirits. They're really good against my deck. So
I hate to say, as a spirit player, I love hearing that. That makes me jovial. That makes me a giddy little boy because it's like, woohoo, here I come. I'm coming at you. Boo.
yeah, it's spooky.
So, gentlemen, let's. I know Testacular. This is a new deck for you. Was there anything about the deck you were just like you would change or you would add?
Um, Honestly, I really, really like the way that all the cards lined up. I liked the inclusion of the borrowers. Everything in the sideboard really came out to play yesterday. Like, I played a 3 of sideboard that was just like 3 3 3 3 3 because I wasn't sure what to expect. But like every time I cast a Mystic Subdual, every time I cast a Cerulean Drake, like they were just like on the front lines, like holding on to my opponent, holding my opponent down while I just like established an aerial force and like created the clock, you know? So I'm gonna continue to play my list the way it is until something like glaringly better comes out. To be fair, I did actually try out the Illuminator last night on Moto over the Brazen Borrowers because borrowers are actually more expensive online than they are in paper. So that was really the biggest reason. But I also wanted to see, you know, how it would interact and having the ability to like say against Greasefang Reanimator remove like the problem vehicle with that spell seems really nice, or just like, you know, exile your own spirit and then you can cast extra spells off the top of your deck. Like I do see the value there, but I think Brazen Borrower has more flexibility and answers a lot more problems than Illuminator ever could. So
Oh, that's 100% fair. Let me ask you, Brad. Is there anything that you saw in Mono Blue Snow that you would go, hmm, I would be worried if they added or incorporated this particular card in?
Yeah, personally, like one of my best cards in the matchup is Supreme Verdict, right? Because you don't have a way to counter that. So Divide by Zero just puts it back into my hand. And then if you're land heavy or you have a card that you know is dead in the matchup, it learns. So you can just cycle that and draw a new card. If you're playing like two of those, and if you're feeling really spicy behind on cards or really worried about this matchup, a teaching of the Archaic in the sideboard to just draw back up to parity with me, because I think it draws you 3 or 4 cards if you're down by X number of cards. So those two spells are huge tempo plays in favor of blue-white spirits.
Okay. Now, I don't. I just brought it up to Testacular. I just want to bring it up to the listening audience. Now, because Kamigawa's here, it's officially here. There's no, you can't put the genie back into the bottle. Let's be honest. These channel lands, they're making waves throughout modern. I was considering putting maybe 1 to 2 Otawara, I think it's pronounced, the Sky Kingdom or what, the Sky Castle. I don't even know. The damn thing looks like a Star Destroyer from Star Wars. There you go. So with that being said, Testacular, do you think it'd be feasible for us to put that in our deck? And then I'll jump on to Brad right afterwards. Do you think, how would you feel about that card in our deck, but also how beneficial it is in your deck?
okay. Well, so here's my biggest thing. It does not provide snow mana, and I just cannot get past that personally because I
That's fair.
want to be able to consistently level Ascendant Spirit. I want to be able to consistently activate Faceless Haven. I want to like I just want to have that consistency in the deck. And while I might like just palm Ottawara as a spell, it's supposed to, you know, also be able to be playable as a land. So I I don't love it personally. I think we can continue to go without it, especially when we're playing mainboard Brazen Borrowers anyway. So that's just my take on that.
That's fair. It's 100%. I agree with your take, especially after this brief synopsis. How about you, Brad, with my thought process?
I completely agree. I don't think it really has a place in spirits. You're an aggro deck. Your curve isn't very high. Brazen Borrower is very, very good in that regard to provide that dual functionality that you're kind of requiring between 2 to 3 mana. It's a huge step, and a Tora Soaring Sea is going to cost you 4 on average. That's a lot. I don't know. I don't like it either.
Oh,
If I'm
so
tapping 4 mana, I want to activate
Yeah.
Spectral Sailor. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
want to draw a card.
Yeah.
that's fair. Now you're not going to use it in Azorius Control?
Oh no, I thought we were talking about Spirit still.
No,
I'm
no, we are
100%
speaking of
using
spirits,
it.
but
This
just out of
card is
curiosity, you made it like, oh, both decks. I'm like, hold on, hold
no,
on
no,
there.
no.
You're
I
not gonna put it
really
in
like.
Azorius control?
I definitely have pushed through lethal multiple times due to it and saved some planeswalkers reset their counters essentially. Like resetting Narset has provided some help in a blue-white grindy matchup where I just need to get it back to hand, redeploy. They are still locked out. I get 2 more cards for a land. It's very powerful. It's a very powerful spell for blue-white. Well, spell for blue-white control.
Now, because you gentlemen are playing in Pioneer, are channel lanes too powerful in Pioneer?
I never saw really it affect anybody else in a positive. Well, it affected it, right? And I had to play around some of it. My mono black opponent, it let him get back a 3/3 haster Wrinkle Master of Pranks. Let him get back Wrinkle Master of Pranks, which was kind of annoying. But it didn't affect me specifically. My deck is kind of very resilient against these lands originally anyway. The Boseiju is fine because I need mana. I'm playing 5 basic lands just in case because I have my 2 wasteland effects to pull stuff back Field of Ruin back out. So Boseiju helps me in a way because I tap out a lot. I'm playing 11, 12, 13 mana every single turn when I play. So
Okay. Now, Testacular, you've played Legacy Spirits, the Azorius build, and now you've gone to Pioneer and you played with the Mono Blue Snow build. I know what I'm going to say is like, well, you can't compare the two, but technically you can. Even though we know that Legacy is a lot quicker, a lot speedier, more expeditious. In the feel, the context of the Spirit decks, for someone who's never played Mono Blue Snow, how would you explain to an Azorius player the feel of Mono Blue Snow?
Mono Blue Snow is a deck where you want to you want to keep your shields up more often and you want to play less aggressively. Like with the Spirits build in Legacy, you're preemptively deploying your threats like Spirit of the Labyrinth, for instance, to catch like brainstorms and ponders and whatnot. And you're able with Aether Vial, you're able to like crank out 2 guys a turn, and Supreme Phantom is like pumping the team and whatnot. But this deck, you're playing it more like a tempo control where you're relying on 1 to 2 threats for a very long time while holding up mana to counter the problem spells, and then again eventually the aggro will build up and you will get there with a whelming amount of damage, but you need to play more carefully. You need to have your shields up for the problem spells like Grease Fang or Winota or whatever you see in whatever matchup. So it's a lot more slow paced, but patience pays with this deck.
So I'm going to ask you both this question. Right now, Spirits is considered the second best deck in Pioneer. Is it? Do you actually think it actually is?
huh.
It's a loaded question because the way I'm looking at it, it's the most played, and that's the reason why I think it has the numbers. My thing is, Brad, you played against it. Is it as tough as people think it is? And technically, you played the deck. How strong? Is it a tier? Is it truly a tier 1 deck? Even top, like the second best deck in tier 1.
Do you want to start, Brad? Or
Sure, yeah, I'll start. I'm not so entirely familiar with what the actual tier list of Pioneer is currently. I wouldn't personally place it as a tier like the second best deck in the format.
Okay.
But I think somebody told me that they believe that Winota was the best deck currently. I kind of feel like Mono Red's really, really good though. They can go dual super beats or burn out plan, which is pretty standard, but it's just such a relentless build. Uh, and with Spirits matchup, how's Spirits match up against the Jun Sacrifice deck? They've got the Devil to ping everything. I don't know how that is.
Well, with the mono blue, it doesn't do exceptionally well. That's the reason why That's why I put Cemetery Illuminator in there, just because of that reason alone. But in Azorius builds, it's not that bad. When you go with the Banth build, really, you're vomiting creatures, so you really don't care. In a sense, you're just like, here you go, I win. So go ahead, Testacular. I'm sorry.
No worries. So to start with your question, to quote Chris Finley, a friend of ours yesterday, spirits isn't a real strategy. That is something he said to me like
What?
outside. He's like, you're playing. He looked at me as like, you're not playing a real deck, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm playing a real deck. You know, like
So I paid
I
thousands of dollars for a deck that doesn't exist. It's no.
well, yeah, no, I paid $100. I mean,
Well,
let's be realistic.
Well, I
right?
got the foils and all this other stuff. So I'm like,
Okay. Yeah,
It's definitely a real deck. Before we played the tournament, I personally said I believed it was a B tier, maybe a B. I said B plus specifically.
okay.
I put Azorius Control as an A tier deck. Yeah, like just a mid A. And the S tier decks are like, I thought Winota and
Arclight
Phoenix.
Phoenix
That's
was
the other one I
one of
said.
the other ones that we like expected, and we saw multiple copies of it yesterday. Like there were definitely people representing the deck, but we were thinking more like, yeah, Winota, Arclight, Greasefang, and we
Yeah.
expected Lotus Field, but there were 0 copies of Lotus Field in the room yesterday, and out of 37 players, that's impressive.
Because it's beatable. The deck is 100% beatable. That's like it takes a certain. I'm not gonna say luck, but you have to have what the French call a little bit of that je ne sais quoi to pilot that deck correctly to get the win. You know, it's like every other combo deck. It's like if you get that combo piece, whoo, I win the deck. If you don't get that combo piece, you're like, please, Lord, let me get the combo. Let me get the combo. Let me get the combo. Oh, what am I ever gonna get this combo? Why am I keep on drawing lands? Why am I not getting this combo? That's how I look at Lotus Control, because you know that's how Lotus Control plays. You know, it's just like, the Lotus combo plays. It's just like great. You know, it's as your friend would say, it's not a real deck. Shots have been fired. I you know, his shots have been fired. You know, just call me Ben Affleck. No, well, what's the guy that got in trouble for shooting somebody on stage?
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, call me Alec Baldwin. It's all right. You know, shots have been fired.
Oh man.
So, gentlemen, I know that you were at this event. Were there any decks that actually stood out besides my mono blue snow build? And I'll give Brad some credit to Azorius Control. But were there any decks that actually stood out and you go, holy crap, this is the cream of the crop, not the cream of the crap?
Again, I think the mono red deck that one player was on was pretty good for the format. They made it to the finals against Brad, where Brad really took him down in just a savage beating. But like that deck plays pretty impressively. Like I was watching it at the top 8 tables during Brad's run, so it played really well. It handily took down Winota, and then it handily took down Arclight before running into Brad at the finals table. So
Okay, so Brad won it all, huh?
Yeah. I dropped a total of my overall record for games was 13-4-1. So I had a bunch of 2-0s.
Okay.
I didn't drop a game in the top 8. So
wow. Now, the best part is Testacular admitted before the show he ended up playing again against Azorius Control and he beat it. So it was like, okay, yay! It's like that small revenge, even though it's not against Brad.
He can beat me any day of the week. We can go. We can show up tonight and just jam games. He'll beat me. Then.
Wow. Okay. Like I expect to see footage later on this evening of Testacular just wiping the floor with Brad. That's what I want to see. I don't care if it's MTGO or live paper.
All I play is live paper. I'm going to be honest. I don't have anything.
So, Brad, let me ask you because I'm curious about the Azorius control. I know we have several people here who are like probably supporting you, like, yay, we got our guys over here from Portland, Oregon, like, wow, right? And then we have some of the Spirit Squadron here, the Spirit Squad. They're probably curious, how do we go about beating Azorius control? Now, what are the main strengths? This is what I love asking. What are the main strengths of Azorius control?
I am able to see a lot of cards, which give me a lot of options overall. The game might seem like I'm being pressured. You hit me for 3, 4, 5 a turn. I'm looking for my options. I don't care about the hit, right? So as soon as I'm doing something, it's because I'm assessing that it's the time to do that. I just don't care about my life total. It's a very good resource to use. I have the absorb to get me back in the game in terms of that. I try to go for 2-for-1s. All my Supreme Verdicts, I never really cashed in a 3-for-1 at all for anything. My big hits for how I basically crawl back in the game are Planeswalkers in game 1. Wandering Emperors are really big. Even a well-timed Shark Typhoon will take over a game against the Spirits. Because you just kind of don't expect it, right? Just all of a sudden, that's why I play a 1-of in there. Yeah, and for sideboarding,
Play 1-of.
I play 1 on the side, but 1 main.
Oh, good! Thank God for that.
Yeah. It's actually so for sideboarding, what my sideboard plan against spirits in general has been cutting 2 Narsets, cutting a Teferi, and 1 of my absorbs. Because if I win game 1, I'm automatically going to be on the draw again. I bring in a portable hole, settle the wreckage, 1 mystical dispute, 1 shark typhoon. If it goes to game 3, I'll probably end up trimming 1 more Teferi for another mystical dispute because I have 1 more on the side. I just need that card to come back, Teferi, to come back to stabilize me. But if it's game 3, I really want to tighten up and get all my ducks in a row before I even worry about casting a 5-drop against a deck that can counter it for 1 mana sometimes. So,
well, let me ask you, because you say life is a resource, and you're not really worried about your life. When do you start getting nervous? Like, I'm just curious. Like, if I come across an Azorius control player, what makes them nervous? At 7 life, 5
no.
life?
6 is probably the number for me, especially against a flash deck or a burn deck. 6 is when I start to get nervous, possibly. Yeah, if I'm in a commanding position, they have no cards in hand, I don't care. It's all coming up Millhouse at that point, right? If I feel like the player has hit a land pocket, I can't be beat in that point either. Even if I'm at 4 life, the Boreal's Burn player got me down to 1 life multiple occasions, but Absorb brought me back into the game, and I 2-0'd them in the to qualify for top 8. So it takes a lot to rattle me when you're used to having these situations thrust upon you every single time. Even my mono black player opponent got me down to 1 life too, huh? Yeah, that was a pretty tight game. Oh, I just want to talk about this 1 sick play that I had. Okay. So it was the mono black guy. I had up 10 mana. I was doing all this math just in case he got something back. I had looked at a couple cards with what was that? 4 mana. You look at
Memory
the top board.
Deluge.
Thank you, Current. Memory Deluge. I put a otherworldly March of the Otherworldly Light. What was the other card, Current? Do you remember?
March of Otherworldly Light. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other card was Shark Typhoon.
Shark Typhoon over to Fairy and a land. And my reasoning was my opponent had 3 creatures on board. They had the man land on board, able to activate it. That card has Menace. So I had 1 out of my 2 Field of Ruins left on field. I had exactly enough mana to cycle Shark Typhoon as a 3/3 to put it down to eat one of their 1-drop creatures that are 2/1s. Blow up their man land. That will give me the 3rd mana I need for the March of Otherworldly Light to exile their 3/2.
Oh.
So I had play in that. And that's why I put those 2 in instead of Teferi, because I was at like 1 life. So
There
That's
was also
slick.
an absorb in
slick.
that pile that I was like, that's interesting that he didn't take the absorb because he was so low
because
on life.
if they didn't have anything, they ended up getting a rankle and tacking in, right? But if they didn't have anything, I don't need the absorb because I've got the flying threat that's going to come down to the 7/7 and attack them, and then they're on the back foot. Because at that point in time, they themselves were at 12 life,
Mhm.
and one of their creatures couldn't block. I would have theoretically had a 8/8 shark, and the Hall of the Storm Giant land was going to be bastion for lethal, and I had another 2 samurai generated, so they wouldn't have been able to survive if they had nothing that turn.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then let me ask you. We asked you for the strengths. What are the main weaknesses that us spirit players, especially Testacular with the mono blue snow build, can take advantage of?
You play during my turn. That's huge. Because I want to play during your turn. And since you dictate the pace of play with having early generated threats and flash threats, I have to react to that and tap out. And when I'm tapped out, you're able to deploy your stronger, more resilient threats at opportune times and beat me. You can game 1 is better for you because you're able to hold up mana, because the Wandering Emperor is a house. It pulls me into the game in such a way that I can't really accurately describe.
Mhm.
It won me more games than any other card in the deck by and far. And if I stumble on mana, you probably also win because I have so many cards at 4, 5, and 1 at 6. I even count the lands that I have to activate for that. I'm playing 27 lands, for goodness sakes. So you can tell I need lands. If you're able just to hold up 1 or 2 counter spells in key moments, the game's over for me 100%. I've got to get my 2-for-1s. I've got to get the 1-for-1s done early on and keep you from pressuring my life total, because if I can't, it's going to end really quickly. It's going to end really quickly at that point.
Okay. Testacular, do you have any questions for Brad out of curiosity? Because, we have him. He's a little vulnerable here, Do you have any questions for Brad about his deck?
I mean, not really. Like, I know his list, like the 75, because I looked at it and everything, and
Okay.
we got ready for this tournament together, and like him and I didn't really play any games together, but like I was just like, I'll just dodge you, we'll get into the top 8
It's literally
together. And yeah, round 5, unfortunately, we got paired up, and it was one of us or the other. If I won, I would have been in that top 8, but he won, and he took it all the way home, thankfully.
Gosh darn you,
Otherwise,
Brad.
I well, I mean, it would have been worse if he bombed out in the
No, I hear
quarterfinals
you.
or something. So
Well,
yeah.
let me ask you, because I love to hear people who play other decks. What spirit cards put the fear in you, Brad?
Oh, the Spell Queller is like a terrifying thing. Selfless Spirit's also really, really good. Those 2 are that Rattle Chains, obviously. Mausoleum Wanderer. um, oh, wow. Yeah, those are like the top 4, especially Rattle Chains, actually. Rattle Chains, Spell Queller, 1, 2, followed by Selfless Spirit being 3.
So Skyclave is just like, meh, get out of here.
I do not care about Skyclave. I play 2 1-drops in my main board, Portable Holes. So
Okay.
if
No, I just figured to ask just because
Hey,
I know we have.
Skyclave can take Wandering Emperor, though.
Okay,
Mm.
then I'll just remove it and have a 4. I'm super fine with that. It might be my favorite card in the deck, but it's already done its job. It's either committed to the board or exiled something and gained me 2 life to get me back to some level of parity, right? So if I have to remove a thing to get a 4/4, now I've got a 4/4 to rumble with your ground pounder,
Mm.
the Faceless Haven.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here from a Azorius control player, aka Brad, Mr. Mustache himself. Beautiful mustache that it is. He basically gave you the tools to how to attack and control and beat down control. So Testacular, now that you know, now you use that
I'll get
little
him
bit of
next time.
information and ground
You
the pound,
better.
ground the pound. Now, what I want to bring up to you, gentlemen, is a deck that came up in SCG Indie, and I'll try to bring it up. Nope, that's not it. And there it is. This is a deck list that ended up playing at SCG Philly Indy. Sorry, because I was at Philly. So I wanted your perspective, especially Testacular and Brad being the opponent. What do you think? My thing is that I'm a little surprised on one particular card, and it's this card right here. If I can bring it up, it's Iris Death
Oh.
Desert Doom. Like, the hell? I'm sorry, we're not doing that. Okay, for those who are just listening in, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's like Imrith Desert Doom is 3 generic in a blue and a blue legendary dragon creature. It's a 5/5 flyer. Basically, this creature has ward for as long as it's untapped, and it goes whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then, if you have a player that has 3 cards in hand, draw cards equal to that difference. It's not that bad.
It's very
But does
spicy.
it's good, but the question is, does it fit the theme for Mono Blue Snow?
I mean, well, it's a dragon in a spirits deck, so it basically failed the thematic test.
It's called
Uh,
Desert Doom on top of that.
Also, I don't like it. It's 5 mana and it doesn't have flash, and I don't know. Like it seems like a really late game play. Maybe in some matchups it would be fine, but like I don't want to roll with that in my main deck. I want more consistency out of my one drops. Like I I think this list is absolutely foolish for not running 4 of every one drop. You want a one drop. That's how you start your game. I mull to it. Like I do not keep a hand with a 2-drop spirit. It's not good. It's not a good hand. I want to get started, like immediately. So that's my scathing take on that.
I think it's fine. This list is fine. I really like the Fading Hopes and March the Swirling Mists in my notes I was taking earlier. Those were in consideration for my matchup for Mono Blue. That might be something also. So they are playing the longer game. You're all familiar with like an Infect and Legacy, right? Just deploys one
Yes.
threat, gets there very slowly, and waits to pop off later. That's what this deck is trying to do, I think. I think they're going slower. They're conceding that you can't always get right out the gate. There's a lot of removal running around right now. They have 3 Field of Ruins to help combat all the utility lands and man lands out there. I like that too. Also, kind of auto draws you a land out of your deck. It's always how I think of it. I like the draw spells too. Overall, I think this is a nice list. It's very interesting. I'd like to try this sometime.
What actually surprised me is that you have the March of the Swirling Mist. I was like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
I that's a card that I would have never ever expected in a spirit deck. Of course, guys, the Light Snare. I'm like, why do we not have more of that? That to me, that doesn't make any sense. Like there should be more of that. I'm okay with Spell Pierce, Lofty Denial. I'm okay with, what's the one card that we've discussed here? Where it deals damage, you draw a card. It's not here.
Curious Obsession.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where's the Curious Obsession?
It's
There's
investment.
none.
It's investment in mana on your creatures. It kind of screams for a 2-for-1.
Yeah,
And
but
the Fading Hopes and March do dual purpose. Like they allow you to get through blockers and break parity.
But I'd rather. My thing is, if you're gonna go after my little puny 1/1 with the Curious Obsession, you're missing out on the bigger picture, the bigger creature that I have that are actually going to eventually come over and smack you. You know what I mean? It's like it's a little carrot. It's like, oh, come here, get this you don't want one. Come on. You know you want it. There you go. You took it. Ass. Now I'm coming in at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see your point. I understand.
But yeah, like I'm just looking at the 4 Spectral Sailor, 2 Mausoleum Wanderer. That seems backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And like again, I am of the belief that you want to maximize your 1-drops, and I agree that there should be more Geistlight snares. I know this takes away like flexibility and numbers and things like that, but I don't know. Like having those 4 ofs has felt so tight so far. Like those are the only cards I want to be casting, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to besmirch any spear player. If this is your deck list, take some, criticism, corrective criticism. Maybe you may want to improve the deck. You did play it at, I give you credit for wanting to play this and did play it at an SCG con. God bless you. I love the fact that people are taking initiative and wanting to try different things. That's why we have a D-Star who ended up coming in 5th place in the Modern Challenge playing Urion Spirits. Congratulations to that young man thinking outside the box. I know this individual may have tried to think outside the box, but it makes me curious. There's certain cards in the box that should stay in the box and should be part of the deck. So other cards you can use outside of the box. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand if you understand my logic there.
Yeah, like you should try to get in contact with this guy. Pick his brain over this. Like for sure.
I definitely have to. That's like, hey, if you're viewing this young man, whoever you are, and you're saying, hey, it's my deck list, reach out to me at mtgectoplasm@gmail.com and let me know what was your thought process. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions or concerns or any issues, share them with me. Let me know what you thought of Brad and Testacular. Did you like the show or did you not like the show? Now, if you did, because I can't get over Brad's mustache. I'm just in lust with that thing.
Thank you. I appreciate the humor, DeBlanco.
Not a problem, my man. Now, gentlemen, we've come to near the end of the show. Is there anything you want to share with the listening audience or viewing audience?
Yeah, I don't know. I could talk about the matchups from yesterday a little bit in
Sure.
detail if you want to hear a little bit about my
Sure, we got
experience
time.
there. Yeah. Mono Blue Spirits, I went 4-2 yesterday. So with very little testing and very little Pioneer knowledge. Round 1, Arclight Phoenix was a 2-0 sweep. Like game 1 was they deployed a turn 2 thing in the ice and they didn't really get it flipped until like turn 6 or so. So I was able to get damage through during that time, and then when they did flip it, I left all this mana up, so I just reflashed in things through rattle chains to get the damage done. And then in game 2, I ripped an entrancing melody after a thing in the ice had been flipped, so I took a free 7/8 for myself for 4 mana, and that was very good. Round 2 played against Green Red Hardened Scales. I don't know if that's an established deck, but
It is.
they
So
went
it is.
they went turn 1 Hardened Scales, turn 2 Runaway Steamkin, turn 3 they churned through like 30% of their deck using Experimental Frenzy because like every red spell would get 2 counters on Runaway Steamkin, and they used
Right.
Kick in the Door to put an extra counter on it so that like they were essentially ritualing using this card called Kick in the Door, which puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature and like gives it something until end of turn. But with Hardened Scales, that's 2 counters and then 2 counters for the red spell, so that's 4 counters for Steamkin. And then they're
Wow.
like going through Experimental Frenzy and just building this board, and I'm like, okay, I concede, you got me. And then in game 2, they went on like a Fervent Champion beatdown. Like they had like 3 Fervent Champions. But I had Cerulean Drakes just like holding the front lines because they have protection from red,
Right.
and Ascendant Spirits like climbing the corporate ladder in the meantime, like getting the levels up and then just beating for 4, while like I have 2 Cerulean Drakes just sitting on the ground going, "Come here, Fervent Champion. Come here." You know, like it was great. And then in game 3, the first 2 runaway Steamkins that hit the board met Mystic Subduals, and so they just stayed out of play, and I was able to get a aerial force and win the game. Round 3, played against Boros Weenie. This was a tough matchup. Toolcraft Exemplar, like the red 1-drop that gets +1/+1 if you control an artifact, the red pinger that makes a blood token, like all this aggressive stuff plus Boros Charm. We played 3 games. Game 1, they got there. Game 2, I kept a 1-lander, mulled to 6, kept a 1-lander. Played a Mausoleum Wanderer, failed to draw a land, played a Spectral Sailor, beat for 2, drew a land on turn 3, slammed Supreme Phantom. Like, I'm just like racing my heart out on this one. And I win on like a turn where I'm at like 6 life against him because he's raced me back.
Right.
And I get like lethal in the air and counter like the 1 spell removal spell that they had. And it was like, wow, I cannot believe I got there.
Those games feel so great. I don't care what anybody says. It's like, please, Lord, please, Lord, please, Lord, please, Lord, please, Lord, please. I'll be a good boy. I won't do this week. Okay, maybe I won't do it next week either. Thank God. What next for a whole month? I won't do it. Okay. Oh yeah. Then you win. You're like, I'm not gonna do any of that. You kidding me?
Yeah, it was basically that. And then game 3, they got their vengeance. They had like 3 Boros charms like very early on in succession, and like giving things double strike and just doing 4 to the face, and I just didn't do well. Round 4, played against Greasefang Reanimator.
Mm,
Not really knowing what the deck did or anything like that. Like they played
mhm.
a turn 2 Grizzly Salvage. They put like the really good vehicle in their graveyard. On turn 3, they played a Thoughtseize to get the counter spell out of my hand, and then they played a Tassiger. And then on turn 4, I was tapped out. They just slammed Greasefang, got the thing back, and swung for 17 damage. And I was like, okay, you got it. You win. And then game 2 and 3 were so beautiful. I just like held up mana for everything, answered every single Greasefang I saw with like a counter spell or a Mystic Subdual. I had an early Grafdigger's Cage. And then they played the Sorin while I had the Grafdigger's Cage out that like reanimates stuff. And I was like, I was about to counter it because it was a Planeswalker.
Right.
And then I was like, wait, nah, you can have it. And then they like tried to use it, and I pointed at the cage. I'm like, I'm sorry, Grafdigger's Cage is on the table. Like, and they're
And
like,
you were,
oh
I guarantee you
no.
had like a weenie on the board, and you're like, pink, pink,
Yeah.
pink, pink. Those, I'm telling you, that's why I love Mono Blue Snow. It's just like counter, 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 pink, pink, counter, pink, counter, pink. It gets so frustrated. It's just like, enough. Can I play Magic? I was like,
No. And yeah, so in games 2 and 3, we got them real good. And then round 5, me and Brad played, which was very sad. He beat me up real good. And then in round 6, I played against Green White Hate Bears, and they got rolled over real fast because in game 1, I put 3 Curious Obsessions on a Mausoleum Wanderer, and so I was drawing 3
why?
and dealing 4 a turn. I don't know. This stuff it was allowed to happen. Like, all they had for interaction was Thalia. And, like, Thalia's fine, but, like, Mystic Subdual was also really good against that card. And then they also had the 3-drop 3/1 flyer that looks at your hand and tears a spell out that makes you pay 2 more. But I countered that. And then, like, there was an Archon of Emeria as well, but I, like, Shacklegeisted it down. Like, it was just, like, not really the ideal matchup for them, I don't think at all. Like, I just had an aerial force and they were just sitting on the ground doing nothing. So
Let me just tell you, Shacklegeist was one of these cards that I was like, meh. Yeah, it fits the deck, but it's, and then now it's like, Holy crap! I love me some Shacklegeist. I wish it could block creatures, but it don't. But I'm okay with that because I like me some Shacklegeist.
Yeah, Ben and I in Legacy were just like, oh, so we tap 2 spirits and it taps down their Merit Lodge? Deal. Like, this card seems powerful.
The people are sleeping on it. I'm like, Now that reminds me, Testacular. I there's a young man who I don't know if I've told you. He plays Legacy Spirits in Brazil, in Rio de Sur. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Douglas Rosa. He's part of a team called Team Manamax down in Brazil. And let me just tell you, he's kicking ass with the Azorius Spirits. So I'm just saying, like,
Right
I know
on.
you're an elf guy. You know, I can see the guy cradle in the background.
That's where I'm from.
But you know, it's okay to be a tree hugger, but nothing, feels better than knowing that when you pass away, you have an afterlife.
Look,
Just saying.
I am paying the Spirits Tribe my respect by becoming a master of the Pioneer Mono Blue Spirit Snow list, okay? That is what I'm here to do. I'm here to play Pioneer and Blue. That's what I'm here to do.
And then we got Brad over here playing Control.
I'm just here to win, y'all. I don't know what you want from me.
There you go. So is there anything you want to add, Brad, to the show?
I guess my most interesting matchup. Well, actually, I kind of want to talk about being out there again for the first time in like forever. Being around that many people. My first 3 rounds, I was so nervous because one, I haven't played Magic. I don't play Magic online or anything, right? So playing in paper and being surrounded by people watching you, because I went to turns my first 3 rounds. So I'm got like 20 people and I'm like starting to shake and all that. Like, oh man. And I feel the misplays. Like I made a misplay here, I made a misplay there. Winona round 1, there were some more optimal plays I could have done to prevent me being under the amount of pressure I was under. I made a note of those. Blue-red Emergence was a very fun deck to play against because they're so kind of counter-active to my deck in a weird way. Right. There's a lot of like, I don't care about a Bone Crusher Giant resolving. It's fine. I'll deal with it some other way. But the Emergence creature tapping down my lands continuously to prevent me from doing anything was a big pain. I was going to turn the corner if I had another 5 minutes, but that was like my most nerve-wracking match because I was 1-1. I didn't want to lose. I wanted to keep on going, but that was a tough one. Blue. Then after that, because it was the last match, I had to roll into playing against a blue-white mid-range deck. That was also that's my other like I had 4 game losses, so far we've accounted for 2 now with the mid-range deck. That was another tough one because all of my board wipes didn't amount to anything, and those are my ways to generate. What was in
this like this deck, this mid-range deck?
3-drop planeswalkers like Gideon's. Okay. Obviously the 4-drop Emperor, some Teferis. They also were using Heart of Kirin. So they resolved Heart of Kirin on 2. They mulliganed twice. I'm like, what's going on? Heart of Kirin on 2 and Gideon on 3. And game 1 was over. Right. Like I was able to remove it. Then they just deployed the we were talking about that Fairy Rogue, the Flash with Petty Theft on it.
Brazen Bar.
Yeah, they were playing 4 of those as well. They were still playing 2 main board Doden's Vetoes and a couple of no board wipes in their deck. And 2 Shark Typhoon's main and 3 Absorbs. So I had to like play around all this other stuff, and I was able to turn the corner and win in games 2 and 3. But that was also another match I went down to 1 life. Jun Sack, it just kind of feels like after this one I kind of really calmed down after Jun Sack because I went to turns again. Then turns is really nerve-wracking when you have 30 plus people watching you critiquing Jun Sack. I lost 0-2, real brutal. Then after that I calmed down. I was like, all right, now the loss is out of the way. None of this matters anymore. I'm here to play test. Like, right, this is me play testing the Pioneer format to try to figure out if I want to continue, and I will. Steady as a rock after that. After that, I did not drop a game. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. So that the nerves that you have being around people critiquing you kind of end like as soon as you lose. You're like, I don't care what this person thinks. They're not in the seat anymore, right? I'm in the seat.
Right.
I'm the big man.
There you go. There you go. I like that charisma, that machismo there.
Yeah.
Now, like, one thing I did like hearing from both of you is the fact that you enjoyed the gathering, getting back together, playing Magic, being with the community. I love that, hearing that from you. It sounds like you guys are liking the Pioneer format. To me, I know Testacular, he plays majority Legacy. I never see him ever play Modern, but to hear him play Pioneer, that makes me happy. And then hearing you, Brett, going, I may have found a format that I feel comfortable in. And I wish more people, especially the viewing and listening audience, would consider, if you're not into Pioneer, now is the time to get into Pioneer. I say this for one major reason. Right now, the cards are not overly priced. They're just priced exactly where they need to be. In the next maybe 5 to 7 years, Pioneer is going to be Modern. Right now, Modern is on its way to being Legacy, and Legacy is on its way to being Vintage. So if you're looking to get into a forever format, now it's time to get on the basement, first level of the format and start trying to figure out whom you are as a player. Are you a control player? Are you an aggro player? Mid-range, tempo? You got to combo. You got to figure yourself out, and see where you align yourself in this format, because it's only going to get more expensive as time goes on. And I wouldn't, particularly stick any particular tribe except for me, which I'm a spirit guy and I'll never give up my spirits, and I'll try to, slowly browbeat Brett into being a spirit player.
It could happen. Could work.
But
honestly.
I did get Testacular to become one, so the browbeating has worked, and I didn't have to spend any red mana for it. So, let me ask you guys, what is your thoughts on the Pioneer format?
There in the top 8, there were 8 different decks. That's pretty diverse for a top 8. It's sure only 37 players, but there were many duplicates of decks overall. I would say, and top 8 differences. That's amazing format diversity right now. Like, I love it. I'm so into that. I'm a guy who likes to build a different deck all the time. I can't sit still, just different deck. And with this, anything's pretty much viable. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not only did I see established decks, I saw brews. I saw ideas come to the table that I hadn't even thought about, and those players did well enough. They won some of their games. Obviously, I I don't think anything in the top 8 was like super brewy or anything like that. Because the top 8 yesterday was the Jund Sacrifice deck, Brad on Azorius Control, Mono Black, Burn, Winota, Arclight Phoenix, what was Gruul Aggro. Is that 7?
It's 7, yeah. Did you say Jund Sacrifice?
I did say Jund Sacrifice. I'm just trying to remember what the last player was playing.
Oh yeah, I don't know. He was too
Control?
far away from me. No, that was me.
That was Brad. Darn, I honestly can't remember. It was Parker's quarterfinals opponent, but oh yeah, I remember. I can remember the player, but honestly, I can't remember what they were playing. But it was different, and yeah, it was like nothing super brewy, but there were a lot of brews at the tables, and it was cool to see people win games with them. So.
See, and that's one thing I do enjoy about playing the spirits and being part of the spirit community, is because if you really look at the spirit build, it's different, but basically the same deck. It has the same creatures. It's just the mana base is a little different, or there's a couple spells here and there that are a little different. If you look at the Bant, it's almost the same deck, just land base is different, and you don't got Aether Vial. Azorius build, you don't have the Aether Vial, but you have, Watcher of the Spheres that acts as if you're Aether Vial. So I mean, if you're listening brand new or viewing this and saying, I don't know what deck to consider, you may want to consider Spirits, because if you like Pioneer and you like the Pioneer Spirit, guess what? You can go into Modern, which is slowly leaking to the Legacy, or you can actually go to Legacy and really find your way to kick Testacula's ass left and right against elves.
Nope.
Yes, yes.
Magic is easy.
Magic is
No, it is
easy.
not. No, don't lie.
That's our team
Oh,
motto, though.
That's our motto. You have
That's
to
your
say
motto?
it. You
My
have to say
team.
it.
I'm a team of one, and my motto is just don't suck.
That's fair.
Good motto.
That's fair.
And then the other one is make your opponent say that's bullshit. But that's
Pretty good. I like that
hold
one.
on. Yeah, right there. That's
That's
bullshit. It's a darn camera work. It's like, how does these cameras work? Oh, it's the reversed. Oh, that's right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you having joining me on this show, especially being in the Pacific Northwest. You know, kicking ass and taking names, and Brad, especially, congratulations for winning the tournament. Shame on Testacular for not kicking Brad's ass.
Seriously,
But
though.
you still get love from me, Testacular, no matter what. Before we end the show, I have to bring this up, and I know it may be a little sore topic for you, Testacular. But for those who don't know, Testacular actually had some of his stuff, his cards, stolen. It's a very sad thing. If there's anything I can do to assist, don't green cards. I have green cards aplenty that I'm willing to donate. I don't know if there are any money cards, but I have plenty of commons and uncommons that I'm willing to end up. But I feel bad for you, my friend. Can you talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, I can, yeah, definitely. So it was actually a week ago today that my cards were stolen out of my car overnight. Unfortunately, the vehicle wasn't locked, I don't think, because there were no signs of forced entry. My fob probably failed to, read the lock or whatever. And so the bag's been gone. I filed a police report, contacted all my local game stores with a detailed account of the things that were missing of value. Um, and yeah, basically just kind of hoping that, this stuff turns up. We also contacted a bunch of dealers like Mox Boarding House reached out to Card Kingdom. They're like looking at offer up, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, all those things. But what's interesting is this is the second time this has ever happened to me. The
Oh.
first time this happened to me was actually nearly 10 years ago. Where I had a collection stolen from me, and I took the same steps back then that I took, now. And I was lucky enough to have the perpetrator show up to one of the like most iconic game stores in my city to try to trade my collection in. And somebody called me down, and we were able to place an arrest together with the police to take them, you know, to justice. And I got my stuff back, and it was like a miracle that that happened at all. But I don't think I'm going to get lucky twice. I've kind of come to terms with it. I haven't really come up with a plan as far as replacing my stuff yet. I've had several people reach out and say, hey, I can send you like certain elves that I've foiled out that I kept like the old cards, or I've had people be like, I can chip in towards a replacement or whatever. And I'm really, really, really appreciative of how awesome the community has been during this time. And I really, love everyone for being able to offer all of that. I just am not ready to accept that, because like I feel a little guilty about it all, because like you shouldn't have to do that for me. You know, this shouldn't have happened in the first place. This is the first time I left my bag in my car in like years and years. I swear, it just slipped my mind that night, and like so it's a situation that I'm dealing with still, and I have, thankfully, the community around here has been able to lend me the cards that I need.
Very
And
nice.
the spirits deck that I played yesterday, it wasn't the deck I built because that deck was stolen, but that was actually gifted to me from a couple of friends, and they said, "Here, you can just keep it afterwards
Oh,
too."
very nice.
So that was really great of them. But I'm playing a 1K next week and two in Seattle. It's a legacy one, but I have a couple of people lending me elves, and so
Okay.
as long as the deck's available for me to borrow for a big event I want to play, that's kind of, it's not necessary for me to own the paper cards anymore too, and it's dangerous to own the cards, obviously, for me, if especially if this has happened multiple times to me. So I'm kind of just like, maybe I'll just borrow it when I really need to play it. And I have my online collection. I'm still a
Okay.
grinder. I'm still going to bring
Right.
you content. I'm still going to play on Twitch. I'm going to keep bringing and playing Magic, and I'm not leaving the community by any
Very
means.
good. That's
So
see, bravo, bravo. That's what I'd love to hear. I'm happy, you're not, I had a friend of mine, he ended up getting his stuff robbed, and he was like, maybe I'm done. And I'm like, I'm happy you're not. It breaks my heart to hear, hear anybody's collection get stolen. It sounds like your legacy elves did officially get stolen in this, you
correct.
know.
The good news is that the cradles in the deck were proxies, so I didn't lose Gaia's cradles,
Good.
thankfully, at this price point. But yeah, everything else was real, so that was a big loss. But
Okay. I was gonna say, do you play Commander or is
I don't
Commander?
play command. Well, I'm starting to play commander, but I haven't built a commander deck at all. I've just been borrowing friends from the group I play in, and I just like playing with them. So
Well, what I'm going to do for you, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, uh, uh, I have the Millicent Commander deck. I'm going to send that to you, my friend, as as
Mhm.
an unopened. Just going to send it to you to help you rebuild. I
wow,
mean, I understand it's not an elf. It's a spirit, but from my heart, from my wife, we feel bad, and we're going to send this to you, my friend. The
wow,
Millicent Commander deck. So
awesome! Thank you so much, Dwight. I really appreciate it. I will take that commander deck and I will play it and I will tune it and make it my own. How about that?
exactly. There you go. And you make your opponent say that's bullshit.
That's Bushi.
There you go. Now, uh, at the end of the show, you got to send me all your info so I can send it out to you this,
Thank you.
sometime this week. Uh, it breaks my heart to hear somebody would do that to anybody. Me personally, I have my collection insured, just because I've been playing over since 1999, since uh, the at the end of the Urza Saga block. I came in during Mercadian Masks, that type of period, and if I lost my collection, I wouldn't know what to do. I have the actual dual lands. God, I probably got like 20 Force of Wills. I have 8 Gaia's Cradles. Moats, Nether Voids. Like my collection is extensive. Like I could actually sell my thing for easy like $400,000 worth of magic cards. So, for me giving you Millicent, you know,
Thank you.
but
Thank you.
my thing is, if for those who are listening, insure your stuff. So, because God knows there may be a fire, collection's gone. Make
At
sure you save it on a hard drive somewhere so, you can rebuild, not give up on the game.
what price point would you suggest for people to start doing that at?
Well, it really depends on your collection.
Mhm.
If you're in an apartment, I would hunt. And my wife will tell you her apartment burnt down before we got together,
Oof.
and she ended up getting renter's insurance. Uh, I would tell you if you have like magic cards that are worth about $10,000, I would start investing. You know, start at 10 grand, and because you've already invested 10 grand in there, and that doesn't include the potential price point that those cards have in the near future. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, how many people have a Black Lotus? I don't. But my thing is, if I had a Black Lotus, you bet your ass that thing's getting insured, because if that thing got stolen or burnt or so on and so forth, I'm covered. So if you're going to learn anything from Testacular, knock up your car, put it in the trunk, maybe bring it in every single time and insure your card. So, if something like this happens, you protect yourself, because this sucks. And I hate to see a good person, get taken advantage of. I don't like that. You busted your ass for to play in this game and get good quality cards, and then just overnight just snatch. Don't like that.
Yeah, it is what it is, unfortunately. But again, thank you for sending that over for me. That's awesome. And I mean, again, I couldn't leave this community even if you tried to kick me out. Honestly,
Well, I was going to send you
I
the
love
Pioneer.
everyone.
I was going to send you the Pioneer Challenger deck, but since they already gave you the Pioneer deck, there's no
I
point.
got it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, perfect. It's like, oh, you got. Oh, okay. You know what? Commander. Everybody likes Commander. I'm sending them Commander.
Yep. I am getting into it, and I will definitely make Marith my own. I'm excited.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. You can reach out to Testacular. Where can we reach out to Testacular? There you go. On Twitter, Testacular7, and you can find him on Twitch at Testacular MTGO. He's a great follow. He's a great person to observe, especially when he does the modern challenges. And halfway through, he plays Guitar Hero, and he will take requests, because I've requested some Simon and Garfunkel. I have requested. Hall and
Alice in
Oates,
Chains.
Alice in Chains. So see, I'm glad you remembered Alice in Chains, and I also saw System of a Down. So
Yeah.
I'm a metal guy, bro.
There's
You can-
there's a whole track list I posted on the Twitch page, and yeah, I take requests between games, and then if my request list is empty, I'll just jam out whatever song I feel like jamming out at the time. So
well,
it's fun.
I have a request for you. Next time you play Spirits on MTGO, I want you to play Don't Fear the Reaper.
Oh, that works. Yep, I can do that.
But you need a lot of cowbell. I'm just saying.
A lot of it.
There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the end of the show. I thank you for being here, the viewing and listening audience. I'm going to lead up with you, Brad. Is there anything you want to share? Last tidbit.
I don't think I really have any more to contribute to the overall spirits conversation currently. Sorry.
Okay. How about you, Testacular?
I'm looking forward to playing more Mono Blue Spirits. I'll be playing it on Moto more often, and I'll be looking out for local tournaments to be showing up to. So I'm gonna keep to my studies and bring back real results next time I'm here. So hopefully.
There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. I will be sending out Testacular the Maleficent Commander deck, so he can start rebuilding his collection. But I want you to remember one thing, ladies and gentlemen. I, as a spirit player, soon to be a spirit master, I'm slowly climbing up the steps. I am playing MTGO, and soon I will be playing MTGO live, so you the viewing audience can see that I'm not full of bullshit, but I am who I am. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here, and I want you to do one special thing. The next time you're kicking your opponent's ass, make sure they say, "That's bullshit. We're out of here."